Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian. So, I think I really made it very clear on how antibiotics, antimicrobial, anti-parasitic, antibiotic, anti-inflammatories, antifungal, antibacterial, how they are anti-life on a major scale. And when you are going after your microbiome, trying to control the replication, okay, you are actually inhibiting the good cells and the life replication on a macro level. And then that's what triggers fertility and then reproduction. Okay. So you got to realize that everything goes from the micro to the macro. And so what's antimicrobial? Well, antimicrobial is going after the microbes. Your microbiome is full of trillions of microbes that if you have an imbalance, that's when people take all of these different antifungals, antibacterials, antiparasitics, anti-inflammatories, and they try to control their microbiome by trying to inhibit replication, which in essence then stops your actual healing process, your continuous life process. And then you are slowly degrading yourself to then trigger reproduction because the body senses that you're trying to kill it off at the micro level. So then it goes, okay, well, we don't want extinction happening at the macro level, but we know this body is going to die off, but we're going to trigger a new life, like dropping seeds. Okay? So that's why reproduction and fertility doesn't mean that you're healthy. If anything, it means that you have a major imbalance in body, mind, and spirit. And the body and life senses that you're trying to inhibit cell replication. And so it needs to go and work very fast to then produce a life, which is then kind of like your clone. And it's interesting how when you have an overproduction of protozoa, of bacteria, even of proteins, viral proteins, an overproduction of fungus and viruses that take over the weak parts of your body, it renders you infertile. But yet parasites actually render you fertile, which then speaks to the whole immaculate conception potentially, and that there must have been some kind of electrifying thing in the universe to where the one single human, the first human, was able to self-replicate in the beginning. That's my theory as far as this beginning of man. I mean, you look at the Bible and be like, okay, Adam and Eve and all the bones and everything else that go along with that. I mean, like the rib and then the tree of life. But that's what I surmised in the beginning. It was that there was the parasites fostered that ability to allow a woman to get fertile. And then there was some kind of significant event that created then that electrifying thing that then allowed the person to self-replicate or have immaculate conception back then. But that's still speaking very speculative and theoretical, and that's not going to be in the book. Okay, good morning, everybody. But when you're taking anti-inflammatories, inflammation is white blood cells. That is the way the body is able to go after anything that's in excess, and then the body then produces a hormone called the prostaglandin hormone that aids in the healing process. And so when someone takes an anti-inflammatory, they essentially suppress their healing process. So if you're taking antimicrobials, antiparasitics, antibiotics, which inhibit cell replication. Now, when people, that's a big mother, right? So when someone takes chemotherapy, or they're doing major cannabis oil, or they're doing all these different alternative remedies to combat cancer, what they're doing is they're trying to destroy cell replication. And so it's not trying to differentiate, but even if they differentiate, it doesn't matter. It's just there's an anomaly, there's an imbalance in the body, and then what people are doing is they're going to the extreme, taking condensed versions of agents that then inhibit and stop the body from replicating. Okay, and that's why you see when people are coming out of chemotherapy, their hair falls out. They just feel very weak, like they've been hit by a truck. Okay, and so that's because the body underwent a major attack, which is a major aggressive cell inhibitor that I don't want to say destroy, because you can't destroy cells, but you can inhibit replication, which in essence then stops you from continuously living. Or it slows your life down to such an extent that no matter what you get exposed to, it's going to then compound the degradation process. So if you are steadily practicing taking in pills, powder, supplements, detoxes, immunotherapies where they go in and take the proteins and the cells that have the virus or have the issues with it, and they inject you with it to create antibodies and go after that, that's still a way to manipulate the body and then cause more of the degradation, the inhibition of cell replication. So, and yes, babies are parasitic in of itself. They suck the life out of the mother for at least 18 plus years, unless the mother puts her boundaries down. So that's why when I have people that used to be in my group completely just promote reproduction as if it was like the best thing. No, reproduction is great. You have a kid. Kids are wonderful, but fine. But wouldn't we want to have a very strong parent, and where they don't have to trigger reproduction or death? They are so strong that they just keep producing wonderful things in the universe, not having to keep starting over again. When you have a child, it's like starting over again. And then when you're dying, you're basically just, you're wasting a life when you are degrading in this society, in this world. And so, no, reproduction is not a sign of health. Reproduction is a sign of a major imbalance. And it comes from people who practice antimicrobial type lifestyles. They practice anti-parasitic lifestyles. They practice antibiotic lifestyles. They inhibit cell replication, regardless of what it is. They practice anti-inflammatory lifestyles. They practice antifungal lifestyles. They practice antibacterial. So when you're taking garlic because it's antifungal, then you're killing off the fungus in your body. Well, it's out of control because you have an imbalance. Guess what you have an imbalance in? You're not bringing enough electrolytes. You're not bringing enough good white salt backed by nutrition, probiotics, because you need to have trillions and trillions of bacteria made up of viruses, made up of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, proteins, parasites, and there must be a balance. But how do you keep the balance? Well, you have to know what kind of chemistry to harness to then bring everything back to homeostasis, the healthy homeostasis, not the adaptation to your issues homeostasis, but you need to understand what feeds the fungus. You need to understand what feeds the parasites and the protozoa and all that. Okay, so when people are taking the antibiotics, that some of those feed the fungus. Some of those kill the fungus. Some of them are protein cell inhibitors, like chemotherapy and cannabis. Some of them are overabundance of hormones, like cannabis as well, causing then more antibodies be created. And then when you have a stagnation in your body, mind, and spirit, and you're not releasing the excess, you have now an overabundance. And that's why you see people that die from heart attacks, strokes. They get tumors, they get diagnoses of cancer, disease, chronic illness, because they are not releasing, they are not absorbing at the level that they should, and they have sustained weaknesses that they've never, ever addressed. And then they have kids on top of that, and those kids carry on those weaknesses and compound them every generation until that generation finally stops. So now I'm going to be writing, this will be in my book, because now it makes sense. When you destroy things at the micro level, when you have 5 pounds of bacteria all over your body, your microbiome is not just in your gut, it's also on your hair, your face, in your mouth, yeast, protozoa, bacteria. You have it in your ears. Some of you produce a lot of bacteria because you have an imbalance. Some of you produce a lot of fungus because you have an imbalance. But you have all over your body viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, parasites, and proteins all over your body. and you have to keep it balanced. And so the whole point of the Jilly Juice is to balance all of that out. Okay. And so, and people aren't doing it. They're just not doing it. And so those that practice at the micro level, destroying the 5 pounds of bacteria are actually destroying themselves at the micro level, at the macro level. And then that's why you see sexual predation. That's why you see people turn to like porn. That's why people have such high libidos, because the body is sensing that it's going to be extinct pretty soon. Even though maybe your parts aren't working correctly, it still has the urges. Okay? And so when people are highly libidinous, it's because the body knows it's on its way out the door and it wants to procreate because it's trying to mitigate extinction. So there is a place for reproduction. There is a place for reproduction. And it's not because it's like deemed the beautiful thing is something that you take pictures of with filmy clothes and look like you're like, an angel in heaven. I'm sorry, it's further from the truth. You're going through a major biochemical change, and this thing inside of you is sucking all of your hair, skin, and nail minerals and nutrients out of your body. And now you have to go and regenerate. And that child is going to be taking on your anomalies. Because also, too, antibodies. So we're also writing about antibodies and mucus. And yeah, I mean, they're found in every single bodily fluid. Okay? And so, and maybe people know this and maybe they don't know this, but yeah, I mean, you have antibodies that are coming out of your sweat. They come out of your out of mucus, of course. Feces, urine, tears, semen, reproductive fluids, saliva, blood, breast milk. And mucus is found in all of that. Okay? And mucus is there for you to recalibrate your body so you're able to balance out and adapt to your environment. Whether you're drinking something, breathing something in, or you're just in an environment where your body has to adjust to the temperature. Okay? So, but the whole point of Jilly Juice is understanding indicators, not staying away from foods. We don't do any kind of diet. It's just understanding how to read your body. And if you are dealing with pre-existing conditions, it's because you've never dealt with them, and now you have to deal with it with a nutritional backed type of salt water, probiotic, micro and macronutrition juice. And it doesn't taste bad because we got rid of the pink salt, which was so highly promoted by the holistic industry, which we are not listening to anymore. The holistic industry is so like foreign to me. I don't even want anything to do with the holistic industry. They have made things so much much worse than it really has to be. If anything, we should have just skipped the holistic industry and just stayed with the straight allopathic industry, because at least they were more to the point, more honest, and they gave you the side effects on whatever drugs they had, or whatever, drugs. Because when you're using garlic, when you're using turmeric, when you're using honey, when you're using, apple cider vinegar, all these different stupid holistic remedies, you're basically doing the same thing that they're doing in the pharmaceuticals world, but you have no warnings and people are overdoing it, and there is no side effects list so people understand what they're in for. Oh yeah, taking this garlic oil is going to destroy the life within you, the fungus that you need. Oh, but I got to control the fungus. No, you have to basically bring something that's missing in your bodies to bring it to balance. No, but if you're trying to kill things at the microbial level, at the micro level, then you will eventually kill things at the macro level. And then people trigger reproduction and they think it's beautiful. And then they give their kids CBD oil. Then there's CBD oil proponents, which then causes more hormonal imbalances, feeds the fungus, and causes more decay in their body, mind, and spirit. And they wonder why I don't like them, because they have been given this information, have the access and the opportunity, and now I won't deal with anybody that's in the holistic world that was part of Jilly Juice. All of the people that are proponents for cannabis that I know are out of my group. Now, not all of them, but the ones that I know about. They're done. Because I'm done dealing with those that still buy into the holistic world bullshit. Either you understand that you're missing vital minerals and nutrition, and you have to bring everything to balance, not destroy things at the micro level, but you have to bring everything into balance. Just like with the ocean keeps the protozoas and the parasites and the proteins and the fungus and the viruses and all the things, under control. Because if we didn't have the ocean and all the salt, if we didn't have salt on this earth, we would have a major fungus planet. Okay, we would have a major, like an imbalanced planet. But we have the circle of life, I guess. Yeah, the circle, because there is death, but it doesn't have to be death on the macro level. You can have death at the micro level, but as long as you're replicating. But if you are inhibiting replication, then that is a continuous death. You're welcome, Tiffany. But if you are doing just what your body's to do, apoptosis, which is just the systematic programmed cell death to allow for new cells to replicate, and you're not inhibiting that with antimicrobials, antiparasitics, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, antifungals, antibacterial, if you're not inhibiting it, then the body is able to regenerate and replicate, self-replicate. Okay? But no, we have people that don't understand that everything starts at the micro level, and they only know things at the macro level, and then they think reproduction is beautiful. And then that's why people buy into death and reproduction. And I'm saying maybe we need to relook at that. And so the Georgia Guidestones really make sense as far as guiding reproduction carefully, because we have too many people reproducing on bodies that shouldn't be. And they're creating children who are now the ones that we have to go and watch out for. Are they going to be the ones, the next shooters? Are they be the next, Bill Gates? Are they be the next, Jeffrey Dahmer? Are they going to be the next Jeff Bezos? It's a crapshoot. Why have a crapshoot when we can actually make it a predetermined, sure thing that this person's going to be a very well-balanced person because a parent was so well-balanced, and we don't have those right now. And that's what concerns me. So that's why I'm promoting the Jilly Juice. And there's no diet, there is no pink salt, and we change the ratios in the cabbage so it's more juicy. And now people are seeing major success because we're using the white salt, the iodized salt. And thank the coronavirus for that. It was the coronavirus that clued me in on what the hell am I doing with this stupid pink salt and all of the heavy metals that are in it. Okay? So my energy yesterday and right now is through the roof. Yesterday was through the roof. Like I don't even take naps anymore. When I was on the pink salt with the J juice, I was taking naps. I'm like, what the hell? But I'm like, okay. And now it's like at 3:00, I don't feel I need a nap. I could eat food now and not need a nap. What the hell? Okay? Because when we were doing the J juice with the pink salt, we didn't really know what to expect. And so then somehow the universe, through the whole coronavirus, clued me in that we were taking the wrong salt. That the table salt that's so highly demonized was actually the right salt. And that sugar is not something we should demonize either. Because right now, I'm doing, I don't have any Coke in my house, but I like to take little shots of Coca-Cola, not like a big, large glass, because I really can't do that much. But after drinking J juice sometimes, because it is salty, but it doesn't taste salty. But it brings out the flavor of the cabbage, because we don't have any extra heavy metals, like the trace minerals that are in there. And so sometimes I take a shot of some Coca-Cola, because all it is phosphoric acid, sugar, and some other minerals. That's all Coke is. All soft drinks are. Bicarbonation. And it's not hurtful. It won't hurt you if you balance it correctly with the chemistry. It's all about chemistry, guys. Chemistry and biochemistry. If it's FDA approved, it's perfectly fine. Okay, if it's FDA approved with a specific intention and a purpose, then you read the side effects. And that's like on the drugs and prescription drugs and the over-the-counter drugs. It's not poisonous, but you have to know what you're in for and why you're taking it. But if it's an FDA approved food, or it's a recipe, or it's a commercially driven product, it's perfectly fine. If you can't handle an FDA approved food or a fruit and vegetable, or your doctor or your nutritionist says, stay away from this, stay away from that, then it means you have an imbalance. That is not because that food is the issue. It's because you're the issue. It's your issue. Now, if it's something like, tear gas, no one should be sitting in a room full of tear gas. That's not FDA approved or EPA compliant. Okay? So you have to understand why these government agencies exist. And people don't even understand why they exist because they have so many imbalances. They want to blame everybody for their imbalances. And they become asinine and stupid. And they become stupid activists that I don't have anything to deal with. I don't want anything to do with them. And Emily goes, it is crazy how it works with the waterfalls and the regenerative feeling. I was sleeping less. I was worried about not being sleepy the next day. Not the case. Waking up refreshed. Yeah. It's like you get up the next day and you go. And it's amazing. And right now, what is it? The 5th of March? No period. No period. As soon as I got on the white salt, it was the next level evolution. So I think my theory is correct about reproduction and menses and all that. It's a sign of imbalance. And when you have imbalances, yes, you're going to trigger menses, you're going to trigger all these different reproductive types of feelings. Whether or not that's your intention to reproduce, that's what they're there for. So when people are practicing tantric sex and going to these sex circles or whatever the heck it is, major imbalances, major. People are practicing the love, 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 love all over the place. Major empaths to where they are oozing love, major imbalances. There's got to be a balance between empathy without completely being a jackass, boundaries, and what else? And just knowing who you are and what you stand for. But, as far as the parasite, here's the thing. Parasites are not bad, Tiffany. They're not bad. We have parasites all over our body, small ones. When you can't compost your own shit, that's when the big ones come out. Okay? But you have even this, there might be one in there that's just kind of hanging out, but it's not, it's there to support you, like the pinworms for kids. They're not detrimental. They're not full of disease. Parasites are not something to fear unless you have an imbalance. They're part of your environment. When people are so afraid of their environment, they're afraid of parasites, they're afraid of inflammation, they're afraid of microbes, they're afraid of fungus, they're afraid of bacteria, they're afraid of themselves. They have imbalances. When you want to kill microbes, parasites, life, if you want to kill your own immune system by taking anti-inflammatories, if you want to kill fungus, you want to kill bacteria, you basically are suicidal in an indirect way. You don't have the intention to kill anything unless you're eating. If you need to eat like meat, then that's the intention. But to kill yourself, Tiffany? Oh, I have a parasite in my body, I gotta kill it. No, the body's gonna balance out. When you have too much shit in your body and you're not releasing, yes, there's gonna be parasites in your colon because it's helped composting your poop, helping you mineralize and neutralize and get the elements, absorbed in your body. But you don't have the intention to kill parasites, because then people are taking those stupid anti-parasitic things that are that are inhibiting cell replication, and then they are inhibiting their own life. And a lot of holistic people buy into the anti-parasite thing because they think it is a bad thing. No, parasites are not a bad thing. They're only bad if you have imbalances. And then there are friendly parasites, and there are ones that can be really but it's not even bad. It's just the fact that you are the one that allowed yourself to get that bad. So when people are doing the waterfalls and they're doing the JJs and they see a bunch come out, yeah, because the body doesn't need it anymore. It's not because they're bad per se. They kept your ass alive, Tiffany. They kept all of you guys alive. That's the reason why you're here. Is because those parasites kept your ass alive. And then people are not thankful for the life that was within them that kept them going. They were the balancing force when you couldn't balance your ass out. So that's why nobody's going to demonize food, parasites, microbes, bacteria, protozoa, fungus. No one is going to demonize anything in this world because it's all about balance. And if you don't understand balance, then you will systematically destroy yourself, because then you'll be killing things with the intention to kill things, and that with no return on your investment. Because why would you kill yourself? That doesn't make sense. If you need to kill an animal because you need to eat, that's different. But why would you kill yourself with an anti-parasite, with an antibiotic, with an anti-parasitic, with antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antibacterial? Those Purell things that are selling because of the coronavirus, people are destroying them. People are inhibiting their microbiome to self-replicate. Okay? All right. I'm going to go because I got things to do, but I want to get that point across about antibacterial and anti-whatever. All right. You guys have a good day. I hear my dog in the background. I got to take her out. And you're welcome, Tiffany.